YouTube. Today I made some big changes to the character overall. The character feels a lot tankier. And it's mainly because yesterday while bossing, I realized that the character was just too squishy. You can have 20-30 million DPS or 10-20 million, but the fact of the matter is, when you do like Shaper Guardian and Elder Invitations with HP mods on it, you're gonna get hit. And when you get hit, you're probably gonna die if you have 4k HP or 5k HP with no defenses at all. So I decided that until I'm able to like actually level up this character all the way to like 99 or 100 and actually try to get higher on a POE Ninja DPS, I'm just gonna make a more well-rounded character. It also helps out other people who wants to play the character too, because I know some people here probably want to try out Frostblades or any other melee ability could probably be used with this setup. I will test out other melee skills besides Frostblades. So the main difference in the character is I'm now phase acro, and I also got a Glorious Vanity Jewel, and this Glorious Vanity Jewel is a complete game changer. And even though in softcore people don't really prioritize defense as much, I do believe that the Glorious Vanity with the, what is it called, Immortal Ambition, is probably one of the biggest buffs that you can possibly have to your character in surviving. And there are a lot of people who play Raider, right? When you have dodge and Raider stuff with the Glorious Vanity, it makes your character almost invincible. So I'm going to go over why the Glorious Vanity is so good, and then I'm going to go over my gear overview and the changes I made to actually comfortably be able to do all the invitations. I did try to fear and was unable to do it because I kind of just messed up the fight. I wasn't paying attention. And then I'm going to go over why POE Ninja DPS is not always what it seems, right? Because a lot of people always ask me, oh, your character on POE Ninja or POV has like 20-30 million damage, so how come it struggles sometimes to do any damage at all? And I just wanted to go over why POE Ninja numbers are often misleading, and oftentimes people play a build that has high POE Ninja numbers and then it just ends up being completely bad. So the exciting part about this character is the gear is constantly changing, and yeah, so the weapon, I'm actually at a crossroads here, and I'm not really sure if I should craft a claw to use the Nightblade support gem. And I don't know if people have seen, but Nightblade support gem is absolutely insane. So much so I even type in Nightblade support overpowered. So what Nightblade support does is it gives you 1% base to crit chance with elusive, which you'll have pretty much all the time because it gives you elusive on crit. So that means if you can't get elusive, which is actually pretty hard for my character personally because we don't have Redeemer boots, as we have to use Shaper and Hunter for Tailwind. This means you get free elusive, which has increased effect of 38%, and then with the quality of 10%, 20% is 58% increased effect of elusive. And then you also have 138% multi, which means it's about the same as increased crit damage gem, half of an increased crit chance gem, and it also gives you elusive. This support gem pretty much makes me want to play Claw, right? So that's why I have bought this Claw. This Claw does have the Tempering Orb of physical modifiers that have 8% increased attack effect. So you can make a pretty good Claw pretty easily with this Tempering Orb. So I'm still at the crossroads of whether I should make a Shaper Claw, because in order to make a Shaper Claw, I have to Warlord exalt it or use any exalt, and then pretty much just use the randomized weapon influence. So a Claw also has 46 life gain for each enemy hit by attacks, meaning like I spent like 45 exalts on this Watcher's Eye, right? So this Watcher's Eye is pretty much for the life gain for each enemy hit. So you also pretty much gain another mod on your Watcher's Eye, which is invaluable because then you won't need to run life gain on hit with Vitality, right? So you can think of a Claw also as like, this could be like 15% pen or like 40% multi with precision. So a Claw is definitely good, and the Claw nodes are actually really good, especially it has good synergy with what I'm doing currently with the sword, with Volpact. So the amulet's the same, everything is the same. I wasn't really able to upgrade much of my gear besides the shield. So I dropped my one-hander for dual wielding and went for a shield setup. Now, the reason I went with this shield is it gives you +2 max res, And one of the biggest ways to boost your survivability, especially for elemental damage, which there's plenty of in the game, is to get more max resist. So +2 max res is the most you can get. You can also get +3 lightning res, which is something I was looking to get, but unfortunately none existed. These shields are pretty rare. And then you also have 4% chance to dodge and 3% chance to dodge spell hits. So that's just some extra bonus, and 6% chance to block. I should probably quality the shield actually. And 9% move speed. So right now, I did end up picking up Acro and Phase Acro. So Acro has 30% chance to dodge, and then with Phase Acro, it's 40% chance to dodge and 30% chance to dodge spell hits. And then with the shield, we're at what, like 44% chance to dodge attacks, 33% for spells, and then we also have 12% evade attacks. So I ended up thinking that this was much more worth it. And I am playing left click steel skin, which gives me pretty much a 2400 HP buffer, and it's up pretty consistently. So it's very, very strong compared to Immortal Call. So because I'm not running Immortal Call anymore, I actually dropped Enduring Composure because I didn't really like how many points it ended up wasting. So I'm pretty much just use a Crimson Jewel slot now instead of a Megalomaniac. Now this tree is kind of a little scuffed in my opinion. Like I'm still slacking some points, so I had to take this. Now, the main difference about the tree is I did pick up Wind Dancer for some extra EHP and Acro and Phase Acro, and boy, it makes a world of difference. And I also have Volpact and Vitality Void. So what this means is that you have increased total recovery per life leech, and this also doubles your maximum total life recovery per second. So this one also increases it. So basically, you're able to increase the amount you regen per second, and it's around like 25% or so per second life regen. And if one day we do go claws, I think it also gives you more leech, right? So this thing here has 50% increased total. Well, this is just the recovery rate. So it doesn't really allow you to increase the maximum total life recovery. I think maybe this node here has it. But I did change that out with Glorious Vanity. So you do see here, I put a Glorious Vanity here to try to get this Keystone Immortal Ambition. Now, the reason why this Glorious Vanity is here is because I tried putting it here, but it fucks up all of these life nodes at the start, so I end up having 0 HP. And then here would be a pretty big point investment and waste to go up here. So that's why I didn't go up that way. And then here, you need it for Fight for Survival. And then same as over here. So basically, this is the only spot. And what this means is I had to drop this sword wheel over here, so it's not very ideal. So pretty much, I feel like I'm wasting a lot of points going here just to get the Glorious Vanity and to get Disemboweling, but at the moment, it seems okay. It does seem like a lot of points, right? And it's probably better to just go up this way and take this point here. But Disemboweling is actually really, really strong, so we'll see how it goes. This tree is definitely not optimal at the moment, and I will probably go up this way, pick up this Jewel Socket and use that and just drop this whole side of the tree, right? Because if we don't take the sword nodes, then it's not as good, and then we go up here for the claw nodes, right? So lots of improvements that we can make. But getting the claw is extremely hard, right? I've spent a lot of essences of contempt trying to get it. And basically, character is very, very tanky now, and I can do damage mod on maps. I do have Volpact, so actually kind of bad because I just slowly degen unless I attack something. But now I wanted to go over probably the most important jewel that a melee character or any character that has a lot of downtime should be using. So if anyone played the Gauntlet, you would know how good Immortal Ambition is, or the Soul Tether belt was. So if you looked at the Gauntlet in the previous leagues, everyone used this belt, right? Or Soul Tether, or they try to get Immortal Ambition. So the way Immortal Ambition works is it gives you Slayer Leech for a node. And what this means is that life leech effects are not removed when you're at full life. So what this means is that even though you're not, when you're at full life, your life leech gets removed. So it's pretty much like you have a HP potion on you 24/7. So a lot of times if you play Frostblades or any melee skill that doesn't have incredible range or uptime, then you will be forced to move around to dodge something, like say the boss slams and then you get poisoned, then you are unable to attack, and even with the vitality life gain on hit leech, you're unable to actually attack and gain back any meaningful life. So a lot of times when I was dying on this character in the invitations, I would just be bleeding out because I had to dodge a slam, and then next thing you know, like one straight projectile just kills me. And that's probably something that a lot of people experience. You get ignited, you need to dodge something, you will slowly die without any sort of leech. So what this means is that you attack your life leech stacks and it keeps going, and pretty much it means that you just have a perma HP potion up all the time. It's kind of reminiscent to how mom agnostic works. So this is pretty much like the life-based version of agnostic. So and all you have to do is you have to sacrifice one jewel socket of glorious vanity, and you have to use immortal ambition. Now in the end, if you have enough damage, you can probably bypass this and just go straight damage with like lethal pride and just instantly kill the boss, right? But not everyone has like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mirrors to put into their gear. And like my gear right now is nowhere even close to 1 mirror. And I'm playing with some pretty, not really budget stuff, but some pretty mediocre stuff in the grand scheme of things. So this node right here makes all of the invitations like 100 times easier. You could take it from my word that like when I do the invitations without this, it was a world of difference and I was dying nonstop. I will be showing you all of the invitations I did. And you can pretty much see how strong the leech is. And when combined with Volpact, so normally your character has 10% regen per second in terms of life leech. That's your life leech cap. So what this means is maximum total life recovery rate per second from leech is double. So that allows you to get up to 20% of your life per second. And then there's another node here, which increases 15% of your total maximum life recovery. So around, you have like 22% or so of your life per second, which is really strong. I think this node here is another one, or maximum life recovery rate. So let's see if there's any other nodes. I don't really think there are. This one here is 100%. So yeah, so like the most you can get is like 10% or 15%. So Volpax is incredibly strong. It's like having agnostic pretty much, like 20% of your life as long as you have some sort of leech going. And even though you can't really regen your life in any way, as long as you attack a mob, you will immediately leech back to full. So it actually makes doing like 60% regen maps and other maps a lot chiller. Or actually, I don't know if 60% regen would affect this. Not too sure, actually. But basically, you don't really need Volpact, and you don't really need to get Vitality Void. In all reality, this is probably a bit overkill for most people, but I just like having the extra tankiness. And that brings up me to my next point, which is why POE Ninja DPS is sometimes completely misleading for how a boss fight actually looks for the build. So I would do my own profile, right? But let's look at this person. So this person, you would think they would destroy everything. He has 16 million POE Ninja DPS. And like I say, this applies to a lot of builds, right? So let me put this in the POV. And then we can see that this is more of a just POE Ninja and how it does things, right? So that's around 18 million damage. So now we need to go look at the config of it. And this is part of the reason why it's kind of fake. So first of all, he has max bliss charges. This is not too big of a deal. You get bliss charges almost immediately. Now, Fort Rage is something that's different. When you first start a fight, it's very hard to get 50 rage unless you're using the chain hook with Hydra Spear tech. But a lot of times with fights, you don't actually start the fight with 50 rage, right? And then you have to go look at, sometimes POE Ninja just decides to tick a lot of stuff that you normally don't have. Like Frost Bomb, you're not always casting Frost Bomb every time, right? So you take out that, it's already gone. And then Berserk, you don't have Rage at the start, so you will not be using Berserk. And that's actually part of the reason why Marauders are so tooltip heavy on POE Ninja. So you take out Berserk, it already lowers the damage by 11 million, right? And then, let's see what else stuff. So then the totems, you have to put down the totems, right? So sometimes you don't have the totems right at the start. And this person actually does not even use Hydro Spear, so that's kind of weird. But basically, you can see that there's a lot of setup time, so like these totems won't be used. So you can see his damage is pretty much cut down in half at the start of the fight. It's still 7.5 mil, right? So a lot of times when you look at the damage for your character, the actual output for like a lot of classes, some classes like a Berserker, especially with Vol Haste up, because I know that POE Ninja loves to put on the Vol skills for some reason, is that the character ends up doing a lot less damage at the start, and it takes a while to ramp up, right? So that's why damage estimations or skill DPS estimations, I guess it is an estimation after all, right, are wildly inaccurate for what the real life performance is. And that doesn't even factor into the fact that, for instance, this character, you literally just cannot attack 24/7. You can't just stand there attacking nonstop. Your character needs to move around. You need to proc fortify. You need to, what's it called, dodge attacks, dodge slams, and reposition. And that's why melee, even though it has really high tooltip numbers, its actual damage, like real life DPS, is incredibly low unless you're like one-shotting the boss before it does any phases. Anytime the boss phases or moves around, your damage is already gone because you do 0 DPS when you're not next to the boss. On Maven, for instance, the boss is literally just teleporting around every single time. Awakener is the exact same thing. So that's why when you look at builds, like, let's look at Stormbrand, right? Stormbrand is like ubiquitously considered one of the best bossing skills. I would say that this person with 7.4 mil Stormbrand would wipe the floor with any melee character that did like 30 to 40 mil DPS. Unless the character was able to one-shot everything, purely because of damage uptime. Damage uptime for Stormbrand is just insane. You pretty much just put down the Stormbrands, you can just focus on dodging the whole time, and that's why Stormbrand is an absolutely beloved ability that everyone wishes that they could play more. And you know, this person has a pretty nice helm, but basically every single skill, the damage is hard to compare, right? Spectral Shield Throw is kind of the same way. You see 74 mil, stuff like this. Spectral Shield Throw, you also have to aim. It's like you kind of have to know where the enemy generally is, while Stormbrand, you pretty much just put it down. So what's going to win out? Like at a certain point, there's 74 mil is 74 mil. Even if you cut it in half, it's like 35 mil. And that's when you reach the portion where it doesn't really matter what you play at a certain point, even if the numbers are widely inflated. And that's just something you need to consider when you look at builds, because a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, just go on POE Ninja and then see the massive damage numbers for some builds, and they're not really able to know what's going on. So this person here has 221 million DPS. I have no idea how this was achieved, but basically you can see this is another thing that's just completely ridiculous. He's not casting Sniper's Mark. He's not casting Elemental Weakness. He's not casting Flammability before the fight on the boss. But that's just how it is. And it's just something you need to recognize. And he doesn't... And I don't think he runs all these auras, right? I'm not too sure. But basically, if there's a lot of setup time for the character, it's bad. Like, my character has horrendous setup time. I have to put down the totem. I have to put down the Vault Ancestral War Chief. I have to put down Hydra Spear, and then I can start attacking. By that time, the boss is probably in the middle of nowhere because it teleported again. So that's just something to keep in mind when you choose a build. Builds that have high DPS uptimes include Totem and Brands. Bow builds and other builds, Spectral Shield Throw, where you kind of have to aim the skill a little bit, kind of suck in terms of that regard. And Eye of Winter is pretty nice because you can throw it in the general direction. It will chain off the Hydra Spear, but you still have to aim it for maximum DPS uptime. So that's why I highly recommend like beginners play Totem and Brand builds, even if they might be a little boring.
second alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Don't stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. My darling dear, you're never here. When I'm in pain, you hide and disappear. Like shadows in the atmosphere, charting the stratosphere. Yeah. I prayed for you and kept you near, in hopes you'd chase away my fears. I'm on my own, you made it so, and now I'm chasing nightmares. I used to run with you through the great big leaves, laugh at you when you laugh at me. Hope for us because I believe the home was just you and me. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh, I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own. No point in blaming you, you did not know. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me.
'Cause when you're with me, baby, don't you see that I'm shining? 'Cause when you're with me, baby, don't you see that I'm shining? 'Cause when you're with me, baby, don't you see that I'm shining? 'Cause when you're with me, baby, don't you see that I'm shining? 'Cause when you're with me, baby, don't you see that I'm shining? 'Cause when you're with me, baby, don't you see that I'm shining? 'Cause when you're with me, baby, don't you see that I'm shining? 'Cause when you're with me, baby, don't you
hope everyone enjoyed the bossing footage and it wasn't too embarrassing. I was able to finally get the Maven kill down. So in terms of what I
cannot
want to
do
do to
this
upgrade the character, prepare to see a 600, 700 DPS claw being made. I will try to make a 600 one, 600 DPS one, even if I do go broke. So we'll see what happens because I kind of want to try out a claw build. And I will be trying out different skills because I feel like this archetype can fit a lot of different skills. I know some people want to see Lightning Wall Strike, and some people want to see some other strike skills. So we'll see if Frostblade is really the best. It'll be fun to see how bad melee strike is actually. But in the end, this character I made tankier because being tankier actually increases damage. I wasn't using Cast on Death Portal over and over again to get back to the fight. You want to be alive, so try out the Glorious Vanity Dory or Ahuana Jewel Immortal Ambition. It's actually completely broken. It's a tech that people use in Gauntlet, and that's why everyone loves using Slayer for bossing. And it's actually feels really, really nice. But thanks for watching, everyone, and be sure to like and subscribe. And I hope you find more mirror things also than I do. And see you next time. Bye.